Hello, Internet. This story is about forcing fairness and not letting big companies get away with awful behavior. This is what to do and how to do it. Buckle up because a cellular company, I won't say which cellular company, but a cellular company tried to steal $1,000 from me. $1,000 from me. That is so unfair. Okay, buckle up because this is what we've got here. So this was my expectation. I had two iPhone 11 Pro Maxes, okay? Almost 2 years old, okay? I thought I would, first of all, I pay $5 a month to be able to upgrade early. In other words, to get out of the contract. I had $120 left on the contract because I almost went the complete 2 years. So I was expecting that to be wiped away. Thankfully, that did happen, and that's the only good thing that happened. They sent me the barcode labels to return these devices, and I sent them back, and they sent me an email, and they're like, oh, here's the status of your return. And it went through 4 little gates. It's like, package picked up, package received, package being processed, and then credit to your account. The last one never moved. It was stuck at that mark, and I thought I would get $300 credit for the uncracked phone. As you can see, one of the phones is cracked, which I knew. I mean, duh. I mean, whatever. But this is what I was expecting. This was perfect world. Now, in reality, I could have got that phone fixed and got some trade-in value, but I just wanted it done, and that's all I wanted. Now, I noticed that this was stuck in this third gate because they sent me an email, and they said, go to this our cellular company branded trade-in monitoring site. So I was on their website with this, like, this wasn't UPS's, four gate thing. This was like the cellular companies. It was their tool. And I called and I said, why is this stuck in the third thing? Like, oh, Mr. Haas, this is what happened. And this is what the rep told me. This was in July when I sent this back. They were like, oh, because you returned this crack, we're going to fine you a non-trade-in value fee. Like there's some sort of penalty. We can't stop it from hitting your account, but it will hit your account. Now, I wrote some notes in here, and when this hits your account, you call us back, and the rep will read the notes, and the notes will say to credit you back. We've already got it approved, whatever. This I'm like, oh, okay. So like 14 weeks go, like 12 weeks go by, almost 3 months go by, and I finally get this charge on my account. Now, before I go further, this was my expectation. And basically, AT&T crapped all over it. Here's what really happened. Okay, this is reality. Okay, we got the reality coming here. Again, they let me out of my contract, but then the only saving grace of this whole thing, and it's again $1,000. Here's what happened. So they charged me this non-return fee, which I don't understand. I only owe $120 on the device left. How can they charge me $374 non-return fee? And again, I'm using their own monitoring tool that says that they got it. It's in the factory. It's being processed. They have hands on their own website, not UPS's website, their own website. So I call them and I'm like, okay, this was a Monday. I call them and they're like, I was like, read the notes. You're supposed to credit me back this non-return fee. They said it would happen. They said they couldn't stop it from hitting the bill, but I call back and then it can be released. But I noticed there's two of them. Why is there two of them? Oh, there's two of them because we never got your devices. I was like, hold up. This is the start of the nonsense. You didn't get my devices. I'm like, I'm using your own tool. I'm like, just go to returns.cellularcompany.com. This is your website, and punch in my email address. You can see this. Oh, we don't have access to that here. We have to use our internal systems. I'm like, it's a public website. You can call it up on any browser. Nope, we don't have that here. I'm like, well, how convenient. They're like, you know what we need, Mr. Haas? I'm like, do tell. They're like, we need the UPS tracking number. The UPS tracking number? Who keeps track of the UPS tracking numbers? An AT&T rep emailed me this UPS tracking number. I printed it. I put it in a box. I sent it back. They even sent me the packaging. They sent me a whole little thing. You know, I'm like, I don't have the tracking number. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Haas, if you don't have it, the charge is going to stick. I'm like, wait a minute. I look back through my camera roll on my cell phone, and sure enough, I took pictures of it. I just had a nagging suspicion. I better monitor this whole thing because I just know they're going to try and stick it to me. Sure enough, I had them, and then they found it. And then they're like, okay, you've got your credits back. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I only see one credit of $374. And they're like, oh, well, you won't see any of the credits yet because it takes 2 or 3 days for it to show up. I'm like, no. Like during the call, one of these things showed up. No, that didn't happen. I'm like, don't tell me it didn't happen. Like I logged into my account before I started talking to you. It said I owed $1,000. And then while I was talking, I got a credit. Right there it is. Look at my bill. It just happened. And they're like, oh, I'm like, you're straight up lying to me. And they're like, oh, in a couple days it'll happen. So I call back 4 days later. I'm like, where's this other $300 charge? You're like, we don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, read the notes. They're like, well, do you have the barcode? I'm like, oh, not this again. So bottom line, this was 3 hours broken up over 2 days trying to get this sorted out. And they were going to give me zero trade-in. So like, not only was I in the hole $748 because that's $374 twice, I was also out the $300 trade-in, so $700 plus. And this whole time, there was no trade-in value. It was just like the phones, I wasn't getting any money back for the phones. I wasn't supposed to get anything for the broken one. Finally, they're like, okay, we got it. Everything's been credited to your account. And I'm like, well, I still don't see it. It still says $500. And I'm like, we'll send you a text message saying, and then in a day, it actually did credit. So now everything's good except for the money from the phone, the money from the actual cell phone, the trade-in value. They said that takes 2 or 3 billing cycles. I'm like, oh my God. At one point, this is the tip. And I never got mad. I never yelled. I never used profanity, but I was tough. And they're slick because I was talking about 2 different issues. I was talking about the credit for this non-return fee, which was bunk, and then the trade-in value. There was 2 things. And this is what they do. They try and slip it in on you. They're like, well, sir, because your phone was damaged, that $374 is a valid charge. And for the trade-in value, I was like, wait. And they try and keep talking. Like they try and just drop the bad news and then just keep going into something else. In my mind, I was like, I am commanding this conversation. Like you don't run the back and forth. Like we're gonna resolve this issue and then we're gonna move on to the next. Like I didn't say that to her, but this was my mindset. And I was like, no, that's not acceptable. Well, I would have to talk to a different department. And I was like, well, go ahead, do that then. I'm like, I am not paying this charge. I said, I have been a customer for over a decade. At one time, I had 3 lines, 3 iPhones going with this company. Now I have 2, but at one time I was like, I will cancel my cellular account. I'll pay you what I owe for the hardware, and I will forever leave this company. I will never come back. You said you were going to do this, and you're not doing it. At one point, I actually said that. So this was my experience. You've got to stick to your guns. You've got to verify everything. You've got to presume they're going to jack you over and then take every step necessary. I demand average service. And I was not going to stand for that. I mean, an AT&T staff sends me the box to return the stuff. They send me the barcode, the UPS barcode. I do everything, and I had it all worked out. I'm like, what's my expectation? Like, what am I going to expect? And this right there, I was expecting to get out of my contract and have $300 for the one good non-cracked phone. And even the cracked phone, I saw the notes on the cellular portal, and it was like, screen is damaged, screen won't turn on, severe. And it did turn on. The phone fully worked. It just had a crack in it. So they even sort of like overstated the damage, but I don't care. In hindsight, I should have gotten the cell phone fix. I should have put a new screen on it, paid the money, and then got the trade-in value for it. But I just didn't want to go through that. But I left almost $200 on the table. Well, less than $200 I ate because I didn't get it repaired. But I just wanted to be done with it. But man, that just doesn't fly. So got to be vigilant, and you got to document everything. You've got to presume the worst, and then you got to keep a level head, because if you start spouting off, they'll just not talk to you. Oh, you're abusing me. You can't go. You can't go like that. But you can't let them talk over you, and you can't accept the stuff that they're telling you. I'm like, this will not get paid. I'm like, this was promised. Check the notes. The notes have all of this stuff worked out from when I called back in July, months ago. And yeah. Oh, it was. But I'm not letting it go. I can't let $1,000 go. That's 700 something plus the 300 they weren't going to give me for the good phone that they got. I'm just like, I can let a lot of things slide. I can't eat $1,000, and especially on a company I've been doing business, major business, not just a onesie phone. I've got multiple phones. I had 3 phones. So be vigilant, document, verify, trust but verify, be nice but firm. That's the way you handle this type of stuff. Like, you can't prevent this stuff from happening in your life, but you can certainly fix these things most of the time, and you follow my framework, and you should be good to go. If this was helpful, drop a like. If you're on the YouTubes, subscribe to